Hey, everybody on TikTok, how are you? Welcome. Hope everyone's doing well. Gonna give this a second for a few people to tune in. If you guys could give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be really helpful before we go ahead and get into today's sermon. Right, and then we are waiting here on YouTube. Welcome everybody on YouTube. How are you guys? Hope you're doing well. You can give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be really helpful before we get started. All right, while we let everybody tune in, I do want to make a couple quick announcements. We do have Reverend Christina DelRey's tarot class, The Art of Tarot Basics, up on the website. So you go to ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com to get her class. Christina, how many classes is that, or how many weeks is that course?
I believe we did a total of 6.
I was going to say 6 too. Okay. Yeah, so it's about a 6-week course, and you guys can get certified in tarot through her, and that means that at the Ivy League Psychic Academy, if you get certified, you are up for hire for Ivy's Healing Call Center, the psychic fairs, all kinds of things. So it's really exciting. Her course is absolutely amazing. She combines both tradition and intuition so that you don't get stuck using the tool of tarot. Tarot is an amazing thing, but a lot of people who practice want to evolve into mediumship and other things, and they find that they can't because they're too afraid to leave the tool. Okay. She'll push you right to the edge so that you're also channeling and using your intuition, psychic, mediumistic, empathic abilities, while you also learn the history of the cards and the tradition behind the meanings there. So check it out. The Art of Tarot, Christina DelRey, is up on the school's website for purchase. Get certified, become an Ivy League Psychic Academy reader. Also, her astrology basics course is back. At least the first 3-hour, what is it called? The big 3?
Yeah, this is the big 3. This is the basis of, reading a chart. This is what you need to know to kickstart your whole astrology education.
Yay. So this is an incredible class too. We haven't offered it since before the C word hit a few years ago. So Astrology Basics with Christina DelRey is back. You can get this 3-hour course, and then she'll be releasing other classes that you can build off of from this one as we go forward. And again, it is up on the website. We also have coming up Open Circle spiritual development class, Thursday the 18th at 9 p.m. Eastern. So you can join us online through Zoom, or you can come in person to the Ivy League Psychic Academy headquarters here in Dunkirk, New York, if you want to join us. But this Open Circle, $10. Everybody gets to ask a question. Christina will be with me for this one. So if you have questions about astrology, and who doesn't, right? There's a lot to know. It can be overwhelming. You have questions about your chart. You can join us for Open Circle, and I'll be covering a lot of the psychic, mediumistic, empathic, intuitive intelligence stuff there. So it's a great time to be with the like-minded and get to hear other people's questions. Open Circle is always so fascinating, and it's one of the first classes we've ever had here at the Academy. So it's 10 years old. Happy to have it back. Also, my symbology book. I am cracking the whip on myself, okay? I assure you. So the entire month of August, I have taken to dedicate to writing this book. If you guys are not on the early bird waitlist for my symbology book, you're going to want to go to Rivera at yahoo.com. Okay, just drop an email, say you want to be on. All right, looks good. Looks like we have people tuned in here on TikTok, and we have some people here on YouTube as well. So I'm assuming that we are in good condition. We'll go ahead and get started. All right, so welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera, your pastor. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak. And this is Roots Revival Interfaith. Here at Roots, we believe in a combination of the three truths in the universe. That's astrology, numerology, and intuitive intelligence to lead you, guide you, heal you, and ultimately empower you to be able to go out and help others to do the same. So we have with us tonight Reverend Christina DelRey, our astrologer, and we are on the sermon topic of taking the leap of faith. Now, we're an interactive church, so I do encourage you guys to post your questions, your comments. We do try to get to everybody. I also want you to post your prayer and healing requests. Donations are appreciated. And if everybody could please take a second right now to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. Dropping a comment also helps us in the algorithm. Now, if you want to go back and you want to listen to old sermons, you can check out Roots Revival anywhere that you can download a podcast. If you're here on TikTok at Ask Ivy and you want to check out old sermons, you can switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy. Go up in the playlist under Roots Revival Interfaith. All right, so let's get into this today. Taking the leap of faith. This is a unique time that we find ourselves in. I believe we are in the Great Awakening, the revolution. I believe, like I always say, this activated in 2019. This will be coming to a bit of a head around 2025. Between 2019 and 2025, I expected that we would see a lot of interesting changes, and we are, okay? So the universe does not disappoint on prophecy here. But what we're finding right about now, right, in the heart of 2022 is that we're getting really exhausted from all of this change. These circumstances are trying all of us. I think at this point, no one is untouched from having, whether it be health stress, the threat of someone in our community, our family, the stress of their health, financial distress, whatever it may be. There is some type of trigger that's gone on. And it's almost like running a marathon. Where we are right now, many of us are starting to feel burnout. And the fear is setting in for too many people, where we feel stuck and that we have to just be grateful for whatever crumbs are falling in our lap. Too many people are fearful about stepping out in blind faith and doing something that they know they're supposed to do. So whether it's asking for a promotion at your job or a raise because you know darn well you deserve it. If it's starting your own business, stepping out in an entrepreneurial way, if it's leaving a relationship that has been toxic for you for far too long, whatever it is, if it's going back to school, we're all over the map, of course. This is different for everybody, but I do find that we are all struggling to step out in blind faith and to maintain that movement, to keep that momentum going for long enough to actually create the change that we want to see. And so we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to speak on it first. Reverend Christina is going to speak on it next. From a personal and astrological perspective. Then we'll be taking your questions and comments. Again, start posting now. And we'll be giving you guys some helpful tips to take the leap of faith. I think that what's really important in a time like this, with the Great Awakening, with the revolution going on, it's so important that we stop and we ask what we're supposed to be doing on a personal level with this. Oh, it's almost like a timeout chair. How is this an opportunity for you to examine what it is that you're supposed to be doing with your life contract, your path, your true calling here on earth? Use this time wisely. I always say as a business owner that when things slow down, it's supposed to be because my focus should be elsewhere. Something else I'm supposed to be building or nurturing during that time. There's a reason behind every ebb and flow. The other really important thing for us to be asking right now is what can we do? If you're feeling disempowered, don't focus on how frustrating that is, how burnt out you feel, how fed up you're getting. Try to put your attention on what it is that you can do in this situation. The universe very rarely keeps us for long periods of time in a situation where our hands are entirely tied. Usually, what's happening is that there are things that we can do, but we don't want to do them. You don't want to confront your boss. You don't want to get into negotiations. You don't want to have to speak up. You don't want to leave that lover. You don't want to leave your comfort zone. And we're going to have to push beyond that if we're going to be honest and authentic about what our role is in all of this change. And again, the most important thing is, what are you supposed to be doing? All right. So when we talk about what you're supposed to be doing in life, now this is the foundation of Roots Revival Interfaith. This is why I started this church, because we are often lost. Some people are lost their entire lives, lost souls out at sea, living without any purpose whatsoever. They're born that way, they die that way, they reincarnate that way. We don't want that story for people. And we have to understand that everyone comes here with a roadmap. So to say that everything in life is predestined is not true. To say that everything is a crapshoot, it's all free will, is also not true. It's a combination of both. And you came to Earth with a life contract. You made choices about relationships you were going to have, work that you were going to do, growth and lessons that you were supposed to involve yourself in. And you need to stick to that contract. That's what a numerology chart is. That's what an astrology chart is. Okay. And then I do life contract readings. It's about understanding how to stay in your lane and do what you're meant to do without wasting your time on a bunch of other things that really don't matter and aren't contributing to your well-being. So often when we go through a time like we are right now, okay, with the Great Awakening, or you go through some struggles in life and you feel like you're put in a big timeout chair for a while, it's an opportunity to examine what exactly it is that you're supposed to be doing. So ask those questions. How do you find out? Well, you can book with me, you can book with Christina, you can talk to your work and money guide. You can talk to your joy guide, who is also your spiritual development guide. You can call in your ancestors. Again, we know we need to do these things, but are you actively pursuing it? Okay, sit with them 10 to 20 minutes per day and ask, what am I supposed to be focusing on for today? Now, I want to just put out a couple reminders here also about the way our higher mind, the universe, our ancestors, spirit, right? How they communicate. The universe is not going to compete with your ego. Our ego is about fear, manipulation, and control. And when that takes over, we are unwilling to step out in blind faith and try something new. We are trying to control everything and not allow for the questions of what may come to take over, to get in the flow of energy. And with that type of resistance, of course, you're going to stay stuck for a while and then you're going to start going downhill. It's a downward spiral. And the universe communicates regularly, consistently. It's never changing, but it's not going to fight your ego. It's not going to shout at you most of the time. It is in the still small voice that truth and the guidance lies. So you're going to have to quiet your ego and be open and receptive to hearing that consistent, peaceful inner truth that is always there guiding you, telling you the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I think most of us could be honest that if we're in a predicament in our life, we know what we need to do, or we know what needs to change. We've heard it a million times. We've seen it in our dreams, right? But maybe we just don't want to. So don't forget, if you keep saying to the universe, give me a bigger sign, give me a signier sign, you already got your signs. That's all there is. Okay. Now it's up to you. Take responsibility and use what you know. I want to say too that it is realistic that when we go ahead and take a leap in blind faith to do something that we're passionate about, to do something that we're supposed to do, something that's in our life contract, or we change something that we know we have to change, we do get kickback. I would love to say that it's going to be rainbows and butterflies and everything's going to feel great and it's going to be instantly amazing for you. But the reality is that there is resistance that comes in sometimes as soon as you think about doing it. And we have to be prepared for that kickback. So typically, you're going to see it from others around you. And this is sad, but that's how life goes. The easiest way to prevent us from doing something we're supposed to do is to use our people to prevent us. So maybe you have a parent who is really unsupportive of you making this type of change. Maybe you're afraid of losing a friend or a lover. Maybe those around you start getting critical of the way that you're talking, the new things that you're thinking of doing. And you need to understand that and I'm not saying maybe they don't love you, but they are being used as tools for negative energy in the universe to get at you. So you need to protect yourself. Do not ever make a decision from a place of fear, but always from a place of faith. And do not ever allow for someone around you to dictate whether or not you do something you knew in your gut you were supposed to do, because that is the first place of attack. Now, I have a couple free mini classes here on YouTube at Ask Ivy called Fighting the Dark Part 1 and Fighting the Dark Part 2 that will break down the 5 different ways the negative energy in the universe will step in to prevent you from leveling up. I call it new level, new devil, right? We've all heard it before, but there is a science to this. So that's something to be mindful of. I think that one of the things that can really trip you up too is your own self-judgment. So you start to get real negative. The second you think about stepping out and doing something new, something you want to do, taking charge, asking for something, demanding something that you deserve in the world. The minute you do that, you start beating yourself up. Oh, it's not going to happen, or yeah, but I hate confrontation, or oh, but I don't have those skills, or what if it falls apart, or I did this in the past and it didn't work, or look at what happened to Joe Schmo over here who totally fell on his face and is still suffering from it. We have these ways of just talking ourselves out of everything that we're supposed to be doing. And that's just toxic programming from society. So be prepared for how, you may create your own stigma and judgment. I think it's also really important that as you're investing in a new lifestyle for yourself, you're realistic about how long it's going to take. I am shocked. I am 43 years old. I have been running this ministry and my psychic mediumship business for 10 years. And I am shocked at how long it takes to see results from the things that we choose to build. It is very rare to have instant gratification. And even if you do get it, it doesn't mean that it's going to last. And that's not necessarily the best way to see progression. You have to be patient and focused and not allow for the lack of payout, that you're going to be waiting on sometimes for a while. You can't allow that to steer you wrong and tell you that it must have been an error. It must have been a mistake and you should just throw in the towel, go back to what you're doing or do something else. People who jump from, get rich quick scheme to get rich quick scheme, or relationship to relationship, or, toxic habit to toxic habit. I mean, if you've ever watched or if you've ever had that pattern in your life, you know how fruitless that is. But you could take even the simplest thing, that you've, really tried to change in your life, just weight loss or quitting smoking, right? Or going and getting a better job. If you focus during that time, look at the huge payouts that you got. It wasn't necessarily easy, but it is always worth it. Okay, so let's be realistic about what we're about to get into and not throw a temper tantrum and just say, oh, well, it didn't work out right away. No, it's not going to work out right away. No, I can almost guarantee it's not going to work out right away, but it will. And as long as you're on that path, the universe is going to love you and embrace you and give you signs that you are going in the right direction. All right. So be open to receiving those and celebrate those. Christina, I want to open this up to you next. For anyone tuning in late, welcome. This is Roots Revival Interfaith. And we are talking about taking the leap of faith. We are taking questions and comments after we're done speaking here. So go ahead and start posting them now. Also, post your prayer and healing requests. And I am asking that everybody take a second right now, if you haven't already done so, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. All right, Christina, what do you have to say on this topic?
This is a great astrological topic, actually, because really everybody is kind of collectively going through a Uranus transit, which, we have been since 2021. So a Uranus transit is a really wonderful time to take a leap of faith. This is when there's certain points during your lifetime, astrological points that open a door for you. And when you're having a Uranus transit, particularly to a personal planet, that is a time when the universe opens the door and you have the opportunity to make that leap of faith. It's all in the divine timing that we talk about in our divine timing class. And Spirit keeps impressing upon me in particular to always look at the truth. What resonates with your truth? Because everybody's truth is a little bit different. And, we talk about soul contract. We talk about, life contract. It's whatever is true to you is going to be in your contract. So we do talk about the sun sign in my astrology class as your core. Okay. That's not the whole story by any means. That's just one little aspect of you. But what is true in your core? What do you need to do in this life? What is the truth of who you are? And how can you make that something that you are of service with? And when you are lying to yourself and you're not looking at the truth because you want society to see you in a certain way, or you want to follow the rules of what it should look like or what society has told you it should look like, that's one thing that you really need to come to terms with when you're making a leap of faith. Because, just because mom thinks you're supposed to do it this way, or, dad thinks it's supposed to be that way, or your neighbor down the street thinks it's supposed to be that way, it doesn't mean it's that way. That's great in, a utopia. But that's not reality. Reality is we have a life contract here and we have to serve it. And if we don't, we're going to miss the opportunity and we're going to have to reincarnate and we're going to have to do it all over again. Mm-hmm. So and it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a job. It could be a relationship. It could, it could be becoming a parent. It's something in your life that you think that you need, or that that is truthful for you. I have a friend who is rescuing dogs now. And I didn't even really realize she liked dogs. But somewhere in her life contract, she is fulfilling that because it's so meaningful to her. Her posts and her passion for it, it's like unbelievable. And she's, she was just saying how, the effects on her own children that she sees and that she loves it. And I'm like, this is in her life contract. She's serving her life contract. She took a leap of faith. She had all this other stuff going on, being a mom and being a class mom. And she just had she's a very prominent person in the community. And she just took this leap of faith to start, bringing dogs that need to be rescued into her home, and she's bringing so many in, and so many doors are opening. And it's really nice. It's nice to see that her living her truth. She's doing something that is clearly in her chart. I haven't seen her chart, but I know it's in there. So that's the kind of leap of faith that we're talking about here, because if you don't do it, life is not going to go. Now, not to say that I'm sure it didn't start off smoothly for her, but life will not play out. It'll be a lot more difficult if you're not following your truth. Especially at first, we talk a lot about the kickback, the Fighting the Dark class, the mini class. That is, probably the most important one. Not everybody can go to the next level with you. Some people have to get off the bus. Not everybody can come with you. So when you're leveling up and you're serving that truth about yourself, not everybody's going to agree with it. Some have to get off the train, and you got to move on. It's a little bit sad, you know what I mean? But it is a necessary step, and it will always happen. Life is constant change. And I really, when you do make that leap of faith, or when you do take that leap of faith, it really does have to be faith. And in the chart, when we look at faith, we look at Jupiter. We look at where your Jupiter is, the house placement, the sign Jupiter is in, and any aspects it's making. So, that really speaks a lot to what you have faith in, what your faith is all about. So it's important to know that about yourself. When you make a commitment in life, and when it comes up in life that your contract no longer matches your life, that's when things become a problem. Like, Ivy, you had said leaving, the lover, or, doing something that people might look at you and say, she's crazy, she's lost it. I had made a commitment early in my life when I got married. It went well for a while, then it didn't. And I thought, well, I made this commitment. I know I probably shouldn't be in this, but I made the commitment, so I'm just going to stick it out. And, life had other plans for me. And, when I found out that my ex was cheating on me and my life came to, a screeching halt, there was a door opening, and it said, you know what, this is your door out. This is a chance for you to learn and learn self-sufficiency, and to become the courageous person you were meant to be in your life contract. And it's going to be scary as hell. You can't rely on anybody, but you got to do it. I mean? If I think there really was no other answer for me. I tried everything. Okay, well, maybe I can make this work. Maybe I can, no, it wasn't going to work for me. It was a door opening, and I took it. And it's the best thing, really, hardest thing probably ever that happened to me, but also the best and the most freeing. And that is exactly what I had to do. I had to step into my faith. I had to almost 100% go into faith. I had to meditate every night. I had to talk to my spirit guides on a daily basis. I had to really get quiet, because the universe talks to you when it's quiet. I had to really get quiet, decide what my truth was, and decide that I was only living from my truth. I was not going to live from anything else anymore. I wasn't going to live from expectations of other people. I was only going to live my truth, and my truth alone. And it had to resonate with my core. And your core in astrology is, your sun, where it's placed in the chart, and the sun sign and any aspects it makes, which is what I talk about in Astrology Basics. In my own particular chart, just my own, bringing this into reality, in my own chart, my sole purpose is to stand out. It's to be different. It's to talk about different things. It's to break out of old structures, to continuously metamorphosize. only you can know what resonates with you. And, your birth chart really helps you with that, or your life contract. When you get a life contract reading with Ivy, those are the things that help you. And it anchors you and kind of pushes you in the right direction, especially if you are lost and you have no idea, because so many people do walk around lost because they may not know themselves on a deep level, or they may be confused by society's expectations, by treatment that they've gotten in the past. It's actually very normal to be confused. And that is, that's a sign that you need to do that deep inner work. And divine protection really comes from you having faith and stepping into faith and dialogue with spirit, dialoguing with your soul, with your spirit guides, and following what your truth is, because anything else is not going to be blessed. It's not going to come to fruition. So some of the things that I do, to help myself in this, I get quiet. I think about what I'm passionate about. And I try to figure out if my passion, how can that be of service? And it's important to ask if you're being of service to yourself or if you're being of service to others. And to be honest, it should be both. You should never give more than you're getting. You should be taking your passion, and somehow that passion can serve the collective in some way, shape, or form, and serve yourself too. And that would be in your life contract, your soul purpose. Keep realistically positive people in your circle. You don't necessarily want the person who is all rainbows and unicorns and nothing can ever go wrong, but you also want to keep people who keep you grounded in your circle. You don't want the negative, the naysayers, those people you want to kind of push out, and just keep those people that you can trust close, the people that anchor you. The divine timing, know when to take a leap. When we have Saturn transits to our chart, those are times of commitment. So we need to know when to make a commitment. It could be a commitment in a relationship. It could be a commitment to a work endeavor, a career endeavor. But when Saturn transits, it's usually to make a commitment to something. Embrace that you will have no idea what's going to happen. When I decided I wanted a divorce from my husband, I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't know if I was ever going to date anybody again. I didn't know if I would, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get to keep the house. I don't know. And that's just part of it. That is part of it. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think I saw that on one of your TikToks today. It's not fun. Nobody likes change, but I don't like change. No, everybody hates change. I hate change. But what's worse? Staying stagnant. That's worse. And that is where you're going to get messed up big time. Important things: be moral and be honest when you're taking that leap of faith. You cannot take a leap of faith and be dishonest. Real important. If you think you're getting kicked, you get kicked back when you're honest. Just imagine when you're dishonest. Okay. No, that doesn't work. Keep everything real. Also to, be open to new experiences. You think you're in control. You are not in control, not even a little bit. So you're just psyching yourself out if you think you're in control. Not happening. It's something will come along to show you you're not in control of it. Another thing too that I've kind of neglected to mention before, but this is something that I've kind of learned recently, is to have fun along the way when you can. There's a time and a place for fun, but have fun with it. It's your passion. Enjoy yourself when you can. Obviously it's not all a party, but there are times and places when you can have fun, and you can be childlike again, because I do really feel like we as adults, we have a lot of responsibilities, and we disconnect from that childlike attitude that maybe we once had. And maybe we need to relearn that. Maybe we need to relearn how to have fun, but not overly indulgent in fun. Moderation for everything. And the last thing, I'm just kind of getting into TikTok a little bit. It's not my favorite. Love you TikTokers, but I'm just trying to ease into it. And it's actually been a huge inspiration to me to find people that vibrate on the same level. And, I get rid of the ones that don't, but I've been really trying to follow people who inspire me, and have inspirational content that lifts me up. And I think that that's so important. And I'm finally starting to see that TikTok can be a really good tool for that. So, be careful what you're putting around you, as far as inspiration vibes, vibrations. You want to make sure that you're vibrating on a higher level and that everything around you is vibrating on a higher level so you can pull yourself up. And that's what I have for today.
I love it. And I told you so. So Christina is finally on TikTok. I know you guys tuning in, you've been following me for a while. What is your TikTok link?
That's a great question. Let me look.
Your TikTok name. I should know this. I was on there like 5 times today.
So it's at Christina DelRey 7. So DelRey.
There you go, guys.
Christina DelRey Astrology.
Okay, Christina DelRey Astrology, Christina DelRey 7. All right, you guys follow her. Excellent. Well, I'm so happy you're on there.
I'm a newbie. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Well, that's all you can do. You mess around with it. It's going to change right before your eyes anyways. So a couple different things that you said really caught my ear. And I do want to encourage you guys, if you haven't already done so, post your questions and comments. We're about to get to them now. And I just wanted to say that when you mentioned people hearing that you're going to make a change, that you're going to do something, you're going to step out, and they start saying like, she's lost it, she's crazy. I remember after 6.5 years of going for my journalism degree, that took a decade. I mean, that was 6.5 years spread out over 10 years total. I remember, because I had ins with like the Buffalo News and Channel 2 and all these different things. When I came out doing this work for the public, because Spirit had been telling me for years I had to, and I was fighting it and fighting it and fighting it until I ended up in a big timeout chair. I got the breaking of the legs. The revolution hit me. When I decided to go ahead and do it, they said right to my face, people in the journalism field said right to my face, I had lost it. Said right behind my back to each other. And then people would come and report to me, they said, you lost your mind. You lost your mind. What are you thinking? What was I thinking? I had to live authentically. I couldn't do it anymore. And it is so sad sometimes that you can't marry those worlds without that kind of brutal attack from outsiders who will never probably in this lifetime live authentically themselves. And that will be their loss. You can rebuild. You can learn how to sometimes, and in many cases, and I am doing it now, 10 years later, marry those worlds. The universe is going to help and support you in this journey. But just like Christina said, that help and support in this journey is not there if you will not abide. So it's crazier not to. You got to get over it.
And people want you to fit in a nice little package. I be the journalist. That was okay with people. But you knew better. You knew you couldn't continue. And you step out and people are like, oh, what's wrong with her? All the judgment.
Brutal.
Because you don't fit in a box anymore. Right. But that's just not reality. Some people, if you want to go ahead and live in your nice little neat, little box, okay, go ahead. But I know that I'm not supposed to live like that. And, I took my leap of faith to live otherwise. And now I can honestly say I'm living my truth. So it's when you're living a lie, it's really hard to live a lie. It's very it's an everyday struggle.
Amen to that. And I think we need to do a sermon topic on how to receive divine protection, because we really don't know. We come up with all these stories, all these false narratives about why we should be receiving protection from the universe or support, or what's wrong with me, or I have bad luck, or woe is me.
Yes.
And there are all these things that we're doing that are twisted, and we know darn well, that we can't anymore. But the way we compromise is not an option in the universe. The universe does not compromise. So, we're living in an uncompromising situation as spiritual creatures having a human experience, and you have to play by the rules or else. So I think that would be a great sermon topic. I also just wanted to say this before we start taking your questions and comments. When you have to do something, like I was talking to a buddy of mine today, and I said to him, it's time to confront your boss. He's bleeding you dry. You're not getting paid anymore. He's got you kind of on this hook. Like eventually you're going to take over the company. But right now you're not in contract for that. Right now you're just being bled dry. And he said, well, I don't want to get into a fight. I don't want to be hostile. I said, who says you have to be hostile? This is negotiation. This is business. Okay. So don't think that the other person you need to confront, the situation that you need to confront in whatever way you need to take what is yours from the universe. Don't assume that that other person doesn't already know they owe it, or that the universe doesn't know that they owe it. It's there for you if it is rightfully yours. And it isn't an insult, and you're not assaulting anybody by going and getting what is rightfully yours. So if you can change your mentality, and instead of being judgmental against yourself, holding yourself back, say, I am not coming from a place of hate and fear. I'm going to come from a place of love and faith. This is the self-loving, self-respecting thing to do. And I have faith in your goodness that you're going to honor that, or you can walk.
Was that today?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is hilarious, but in the sky today, the sun is opposing Saturn, which is classic for having a confrontation with a boss.
Well, I literally told him, and I didn't know why I said it, but I said, the planets are lined up for you to do this.
Yes. And obviously it must have been making, must have been significant in his chart, must have been making an angle to his chart, but that's unbelievable.
No, Spirit told me to reach out and tell him that, and totally.
Yeah, that was literally today.
Literally today. Okay, people, there you go. There's the astrology behind it. Okay, so just like Christina said, things are going to come to points, and it's time. We have also Mairead, my beautiful producer. If you could pop up in the comment section here on YouTube, divine timing, when to make a move. That mini class just reposted, I believe it was this past week here on YouTube at Ask Ivy. So you guys can go back and watch that free mini class. Okay, divine timing. It's all in the timing, people. Really fascinating stuff. All right, so let's move on to questions and comments. And who do we want to take first? So we have from Shauna DC. I just took the leap to get involved in local politics per Spirit's guidance. I pushed it off because this is not what I ever wanted, but every time I jump, I regret not jumping sooner. Oh, such a good point. Such a good point. I don't know. That's really perfectly said. Christina, you have anything to add to that?
Oh my God. I still wish I would have jumped sooner. But I love hearing that that Shauna is being courageous. Love it.
Ooh. Yeah, you guys, you will not regret it. We have one from Me Love 716. When personally I decided to move into the direction of my faith, it took courage, but the courage doesn't end. It needs to sustain. Yeah, for sure. And I think that we believe often that once we do something, it's sort of a done deal. We do it, then we'll have profit from it, and all this prosperity, and we live happily ever after. But it's more like, another level up and a new devil, another level up and a new devil, another challenge, another challenge. It really does require that you sustain yourself.
Well, I think living authentically does take courage because nobody does it. You know, it's something not done. So yeah, when you're moving in a direction of faith, you are being courageous. So it's almost like you have to be courageous every single day. And that does really, the sun is, really has to do with like your core and your courage. So yeah, it is not easy. But it's easier than living a lie.
Mm-hmm. You trade in the support that you get from society and people around you who are living teeny tiny little lives. You trade that in for being part of the universe. And it really feels worth it every day, even if it isn't easy, for sure. And living also, for those of you who are tuning in that are light workers, and I think everyone is light work in their contract, of course, but to live of service and to step out in blind faith repeatedly every single time that you're told to, is going to have, for as hard as it may be, payouts that you could not even wrap your head around. Your ego cannot even conceive of the payouts that will
it's
come.
Karmic, and you're transmuting karma at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Don't live small. All right, we have another one from Amore. Can you explain spirituality and business? I did a free mini class on, literally, it was spirituality and business. And it was like business, entrepreneurship, and spirituality. So if you're not on YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, switch over at Ask Ivy, go up in the playlist under mini classes and find that title. Oh, I was going to read the rest of that. Could you pop it back up, Mairead? So can you explain spirituality and business? How does one draw a line between giving and being of service and charging and receiving money? Okay, so that's something you should talk to your work and money guide about. It's important that if spirit tells you, your higher mind tells you, right, that you need to raise your rates, or you need to ask for a trade, that there needs to be some type of reciprocity or greater payout in whatever way. It's important that you move on that pretty quickly, because if you don't, the ministry will dry up real quick. The phone will just stop ringing. The bookings will cease to exist. Or you may notice that you start attracting really low clientele. People with just a lot of problems, greedy people. You start to feel the energy drop quickly if you know you're supposed to do it and you decide not to. I would say that there is always going to be a balance that's fairly obvious if you were to ask like your higher mind, your psychic ability, or your work and money guide, if you were to say, is it this amount that I should be receiving, or is it this amount that I should be receiving? Or you were to do it on paper. Is it this thing or is it this thing? Something is going to light up, vibrate. You're going to feel drawn to it energetically. That's the answer. Go with that one. Christina, what were you going to say?
I think it's just, for me, it's like an equal, what I'm putting in and what they're getting out. So if I'm putting way more in and they're getting way more out at a cheap cost, you know what I mean? Like it's not equal. So you have to just make sure that you're not being sucked dry, because you know how like, oh, it's nice, you start learning to read tarot. Oh, I'll read you, you'll be a guinea pig. Then all of a sudden they're calling you at all hours of the night and day and they want free readings. And you're like, wait a minute, I have a life too. You know what I mean? You're sucking my energy dry. So it just has to be equal. You wouldn't go to your job if you didn't get a paycheck, right? So that's what it is. You just have to be, it's equal for your time.
Good. I like that. All right. Looks like we are at time. I do want you guys to continue. If you're tuning in later, you can post your prayer and healing requests. Christina and I will be praying over these throughout the upcoming weeks. And I do want to invite you guys to join us again. Where the heck did I put it? All right. So our next Roots Revival service is going to be on the 21st of August. Again, Sunday. We are still at 9:30 p.m. Eastern until September. Okay, starting in September, we are going back to 8:30. I hate to admit it, but it's time. So next service on the 21st, we are talking about taking alone time. Are you irritable? Are you feeling burnt out? Are you stressed about a bunch of things that you don't necessarily need to be because you are not taking enough personal space? What are the indicators that you need to take more alone time? Why does the universe honor it? And why is it super important for your health, your wealth, right? Your prosperity in every way to take that time. So we'll be getting into that on the 21st. Okay. In the meantime, you guys follow Christina on TikTok, and please, again, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mairead.